Hey everyone, welcome to the Industry Show. I'm your host, Nitin Bajaj, and joining me today is Pranav Desai. Pranav, welcome on the show.
Hey, thank you very much, Nitin.
Pleasure is all ours. So let's start with who is Pranav?
Well, Pranav is a polio survivor since age of 4 with both the legs being affected by polio. But with those odds, have fought every stage of life on education, corporate life. So today, I'm vice president with Entity Data, which is the world's one of the 6 largest IT services company. And I have also started my nonprofit, Voice of Specially Abled People, which I'm pretty satisfied for the impact that we have been able to do in last 5 years. So uh, if I have to uh, define Pranav is like a lot of optimism with which I have managed the limitations that has come on the way as a person with disability, 30 years in India, obviously more than 20 years here in Los Angeles. So, but struggles which we see in India or in America, fortunate to have managed them uniquely. And that experience has been, I believe that everybody has a potential that we can harness. And that's why this Voice of Specially Able People that I started before 5 years.
Well, thank you for sharing that. And I want to add that I've known you for more than a decade now. And one thing is, well, you're obviously humble and very down to earth and approachable, but also you're relentless, right? And you're not just a survivor, but you fight the odds and you do something about something that's bothering either you or the community. And I know that's where Voice of Especially Abled People was born. And yeah, let's talk more about that, right? Tell us what is the mission, but more importantly, what is the impact that you have already created, which I know is huge, and what's the vision?
See, as I was telling that if you start focusing on abilities of anybody, there is a lot more to harness.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what typically the ignorance in the society when it comes to people with disability is prevailing in America or India. So Voice of Specially Able People has, as you can see, Voice. It's an advocacy organization
Mm-hmm.
wherein we believe that there is a need to redefine disability, change the narrative on disability, which is focused on abilities of people. So in reality, everybody has some ability, some disability. Nobody is perfect, otherwise they are God.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where we are focusing on ability parts, so specially able people. And little, background to that is Voice of SAP. I came to the US because of SAP software. So I really think that this is my purpose of life, I guess. And by seeing what is accessible environment here, which unlock my potential. I'm head of sales for North America for our mid-market focused business unit, which is a corporate world. You can imagine person with polio having a leadership position in sales in a large company because of America is very accessible. That's where I was very deeply convinced that if we have to unlock the potential, students needs to go to school. We do not have in India particularly accessible toilets also in the school. How can they go? So that's where the whole uh, kind of mindset or the movement that I could start was focused more on accessibility. Fast forward, we have done many things, but enablement of people with disability is very important. So far we have enabled 3,000 people, and that means assistive technology devices, products, and all that. So we have seen actual results of $100 of donation has changed one life on the ground in India. Somebody has become self-employed with sewing machine or tricycle, or has started aspiring for becoming IAS if a blind student gets a smartphone. things like that. So overall 10,000 plus people in different programs we have helped. And the volunteer organization, we have now around 11,000 registered volunteers who have taken pledge to help persons with disability across the world, primarily US and India.
That's a huge impact, right? Being able to change 3,000 lives forever. And that dollar amount is insignificant, right? Just $100. And I know in some cases it's even less than that. You answered my other question in terms of why do this, right? Which I know is a very personal thing for you. And like you said, having lived there and seen this in India, we both have seen this, that there's not even, let alone something doing anything about it. There's just lack of awareness or lack of caring. And for you to come in and, let's talk a little more about, I know your work and your team's work has been recognized at the highest levels in the country. uh, the prime minister himself has acknowledged and blessed a lot of the work and the awareness that you have brought. So tell us a little more about that impact.
Yeah, I think I'll talk about that impact, and it's really very uh, interesting to see how nations change when
Mhm.
right things happen. Little background to why now, I guess the you are asking. Yes, my personal story definitely is there, but think about the world. Right now, this is the century where more progressive agenda, inclusion of persons with disability is becoming more mainstream topic. When you look at United Nations, 178 countries signed a treaty
Mhm.
for independent living of person with disability in 2006. Subsequent to that, so many countries have adopted legislative policies and resource allocation, innovation, all of that coming together. I think this is the century, band of the century. I can see hundreds of millions of people would be mainstream, people with disability would be mainstream because there is an intent, there is a resource, and there is a technology available. So that's, I think this is the human civilization evolution. So
Mhm.
we are right there happening. The world was never accessible for
True,
thousands of years. There was no inclusion of disabled people before 50 years, even in America.
true.
So this is the time world is changing. Like in last century, we had women inclusion. This century, maybe we'll have 1 billion as per WHO people with disability to be included. So that's the kind of a right time at right place that we are looking at. From that perspective, uh, knowing Honorable Prime Minister since my college days, 1988, has obviously helped.
Mhm.
So, and he knows my passion in this area, having seen in America. So we are always talking about it. So in 2014, when he was contesting for Prime Minister position, he fortunately interested me to drive this agenda. So we prepared Vision 2020 with several 12 goals as what will be done, blah blah blah, and ultimately 7 goals could find place in the manifesto of the ruling party, first time in India's history. And then word to word became Government of India's uh, priority. In that, the first thing what I could propose to Honorable Prime Minister and then to the Minister and Secretary and everybody, a lot of whole thing, Accessible India campaign.
Right.
That was the biggest opportunity.
Mhm.
And that was very well appreciated, accepted. And that's where the momentum started. But many other things have happened. Yes, with Prime Minister, I'm honorable. I was appointed as honorable,
Right.
uh, advisor to the government of India for Ministry of Social Justice. But the key thing is that Accessible India campaign has now created a lot of awareness in India
True.
with accessibility standards and every other thing. And that's where I think it has made a huge impact.
Agreed. This is none of what you do is easy. There is multiple issues, roadblocks, challenges, or even politics, right? Uh, but if you were to look at all of this and say, here is the biggest challenge we are facing, what would that be?
I think uh, the biggest challenge is uh, in again, going back, the people in the society, uh, the ignorance for the ability of people with disability is biggest challenge.
Okay.
Because yeah, there is some sympathy or there is some welfare perspective. Even in America, you will see that. But when it comes to real metrics of employment,
Right.
in America, even if you are a person with disability, 1 out of 3 college graduates have a job. That means 65% college graduates in America are also not employed. And only 15% out of 40 million disabled people in America, only 15% are college graduates. So the ignorance of people is biggest challenge. They don't understand, and that's why they are not hiring them. They are not investing to them. Even nice, very reputed non-profit organizations, when you talk about can we carve out a little bit on the disability side, I wouldn't name anybody, but I have talked to many of them, that can your NGO, if you're focusing on child education, can you have extra dollar or resources for making that education inclusive? At that time, the answer is, oh, that's not our charter. That's where the struggle or the challenge is. That's a long way to go to change people's mind. But I'm pretty sure together with all of you and others, we are going to do what we can and changing the world. Yeah.
Yeah, I think inclusion, in addition to diversity and equity, I think these things really need to get beyond the hashtag, right? We talk about it, which is a first step, but we really need to internalize that and make it more intentional that each one of us is truly going to do something about it and not just talk about it.
Yes. Yes.
Let's talk about, on the flip side, the most exciting opportunity.
The opportunity, as I think I was telling you, was working with government of India.
Yes.
So we brought a new law, Rights of Person with Disability 2016. And that's where we started in 2017, Voice of SAP, having seen that a lot of things are happening. So now let's do our part even more organized way.
Right.
And the most exciting opportunity is to see that things are happening at a scale which I had only dreamed of in 2014. Either Accessible India campaign or passing the law for personal. Only one bill that was passed in Parliament in that very chaotic Parliament session after demonetization, November. Particularly when I met Honorable Prime Minister on 28th of November in the morning around 12 o'clock, and in the evening 6 o'clock, I got a message that the bill, which was pending with him for 4 months, was approved. Next day, cabinet approval, Parliament, lower Rajya Sabha, and the Lok Sabha, and the president's signature. 1 month, everything happened. So that was the eureka moment that yes, we made something permanent. Talking about it is one thing, doing it at that speed, I can only say that we have a great future if that sort of thing happen. Now we have to do our part. So that was a big opportunity, and now we have to work on that, obviously.
True. And nobody better than you to steer that ship, right? And you said one thing that you said, I could have only dreamed about it. You obviously did, right? You're the one who brought that vision together and that dream together, and you made it happen, right? It goes back to your relentless, never give up spirit, which is extremely important in navigating all of these different challenges that such an undertaking usually takes. So kudos to you on that.
Yeah, and here I think in terms of the possibilities, we all are technology people. The assistive technology, more than 80,000 innovations have happened in assistive technology in the last 10 years. So Voice of SAP, we are very focused on enabling people with assistive devices. We have data, we have seen how it has helped in a small number, 3,000. Now this year, we are probably looking at 6,000 to 7,000 people. But we are looking at maybe 1 million people as a catalyst. We are transformation catalyst. We can't change everything on our own. Everybody will see that. But with technology, we have created an assistive technology exhibition, world's first virtual exhibition, showcasing its innovative products commercially available from India, Japan, Germany, US on our website, 24/7. So idea is that let people in Brazil
Mhm.
start buying them, become dealer or whatever, distributor, and let US people go to India or wherever, it's a global thing. And
Right.
that's what we want to be catalyst, because we want to make sure that the human potential is harnessed by enabling them with assistive device, not just talking and policy, but
Mhm.
equip them to overcome disability with smart cane, smart glass, head mouse, so many things. So that's where I think the biggest opportunity lies in front of all of us.
Yeah, and I love that because here you're creating a marketplace which is specifically focused on, like you said, enhancing the abilities of people. And because you've done a lot of this work, you're able to bring not just the awareness, but also the specific tools that actually help people, right? Move the needle on their needs, on their requirements. Also, on the other end, I remember you gave me this example of this person who's dedicated his life to building technology to help people, even though he himself is not really the recipient of this.
That is where the capitalism, which I love,
Yeah.
that there is a market. 1 out of 10 people with disability have assistive device. That means
Right.
900 million people have not, and the population is growing. By 2050, they expect 2 billion people in the world will be disabled. So there's a huge growing market, and that's where these entrepreneurs are putting their enormous efforts. All of these exhibitors that we have, they're below age of 30,
Mhm.
around 35, but grossly, that's where the young energy, money, capitalism, and they are funded. Actually, Shark Tank India just before a couple of weeks funded one of the product, Annie. They got 1 crore rupees at 3% valuation.
Wow.
That speaks. There is a market, there is a product, there is a innovation, and we are happy that they are also now exhibitor with us. So that is how we want to, put. It's a compassionate capitalism that let people
Right.
start seeing opportunities on the disability sector because there's a population.
Right. It's not just charity. It,
No, no.
there is money in it. Plus, you do well while you do good.
Yes, yes. It's that's what I speak many times on compassionate capitalism,
Yes.
because capitalism is the answer,
True.
but let's add compassion to that. I mean, I watched Kevin's interview on your previous this thing. I could see that sort of, people are having that sort of a perspective that there is a much bigger play. While we make money,
Mhm.
we can do good. And that is where the disability sector is completely untapped potential is, uh, giving that opportunity to all innovators and business people also.
I agree 100%. Pranav, when you look back, to your experiences going as far as you can think, what's that one moment where things did not work out as you had expected, or you had planned things a certain way and it just didn't work out, right? And it became a lesson, or even a something we don't talk often enough about, that it was a failure.
Uh, I think I will go back. It's a paradox. At
Sure.
All India campaign, I my brainchild, I proposed, uh, and then everything, it was launched. One
Mhm.
of the thing in that was that government, at that time I had no non-profit. It was just like recommendations. So it was a passion. So I
Right.
said we should have a mobile app wherein people can take photograph of inaccessible places, do the complaint, or also there should be a mobile app for accessible places so that if somebody is in wheelchair, particularly in India, they can find accessible ATM
Mhm.
or restaurant in the neighborhood. And that was kind of a failure because they could not deliver a product as expected. It became complete failure, and that's because I was appointed advisor, and I was like getting a lot of heat from people that this app is not working, this is not happening, this and that. Fortunately enough, I took that lesson. I said, no more dependency on this government machinery. Modi ji is great, but below that, we have work to do. So we created our own WhatsApp mobile app. So, and that's where Voice of SAP started. And I'm so thankful to Bu Patel, who was the first person to he appreciate the vision that I shared with him. And he said, whatever money you take on that. And we create, that was 2017. And long story short, we have now multiple digital tools, art platform, which we are kind of renting, Goodera, which is a very large company for corporate volunteering with Fortune 41 and companies and total 200 companies. They are now our partners to take our digital tools to all that. So I think it gave us a big direction. Do it yourself, do it right. So today we have thousands of places rated with accessibility, and lot of activism, crowdsource activism is happening in India on the ground.
That's such an amazing story, right? I personally think we should talk more about failure, because that's where we get our lessons, that we are able to turn around and create success with it, right? Uh, let's move on to my favorite section of the show, which is one-line life lessons. We talk about lessons, not as much as quotes. These are simple, short, but extremely profound. Would love to hear your one-line life lessons.
Probably there are many, but one thing that I always tell is, do not accept any limitations being told to you till they are imposed or till they are real limitations.
Right.
The example is in the 10th grade in India, I had to decide science or commerce. With my polio grandfather, father, everybody with all good intention. Commerce, become an office. I said, no, be engineer. And then I was told multiple times that you realize that you are handicapped, you are a polio survivor. I said, yeah, but I don't see any problem. And with that passion, I excel. Even first year engineering common, smithy and carpentry I could do on my own one hand, but perfect leveling. Wow. So that sort of, if you do not accept your limitation, I think a lot more unknown energy, positive energies that will unleash and take you forward. That's my biggest, I have never heard about, I have not accepted about limitations. Do what you believe you can do till the time there's a dead end.
I love that. That's huge. So, to think of it differently, there are many more limitations that we put on ourselves, right?
Yes.
Don't really exist, but we convince ourselves that, oh, this is a limitation. Oh, I cannot do this. Or, oh, I don't think I should do this.
And that's how the society is, unfortunately, that everybody accepts limitation rather than being optimistic. And that has helped me a lot in my sales job. Being optimistic for unknown opportunities, unknown possibilities. And yes, there has to be some bigger goal.
Sure.
So that is always important, because if you shoot low, then you are not going to get very happy or successful. But if your bigger goal, purpose of life or things like that, then you go bullish, and then things will happen rather than being pessimistic about not happening. That's how at least my life lesson has been, very optimistic.
Pranav, thank you for sharing your life lessons with us. And thank you for being with us today to share your journey. We wish you all the continued success. I know you have many more goals to achieve and a lot more impact to create, but with the right team and your vision, I'm sure you'll all get there. So thank you for what you do.
Great. Thank you very much for this opportunity to meet with all of your entrepreneurs, and hopefully together, all of us will make a better world together. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Pranav.